WNJS, Camden.
Good morning. We're having problems in the area. May I come in and check your equipment?
Stop. Before you decide to open your door to any type of service person, you should always ask for picture ID. Whether you're 7 or 77, you should know who you allow into your home.
GPU people, we care about our communities.
Service. Commitment. Tradition. Kukin Brothers, a proud supporter of NJN, building relationships with contractors and homeowners since 1912.
Hearts of Glass was made possible by generous grants from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, the National Educational Telecommunications Association, the West Virginia Governor's Community Partnership Grant Program, the American Craft Council, Arch Coal, the Foundation for the Tri-State Community, Art Alliance for Contemporary Glass, the West Virginia Humanities Council, and the Southern Highlands Handicraft Guild.
Another interesting side of glassmaking in the state are the small craft factories, such as this one, where local men and women, working in the tradition of their fathers, manufacture hundreds of exquisite specialties. Youngsters learn the trade, carrying on the skill handed down by an elder brother or an uncle. In the finishing rooms, where the final polish is applied to each piece, there are displays like this, burst of color, delight the eyes of all who see them. And many such pieces enhance the table in homes all over America.
The Blenko family's been in business for over 100 years, and I'm the fourth generation to join the company. Blenko Glass has had many significant clients. The White House, the United States Capitol, Washington Cathedral in Washington, D.C., the Country Music Association, the Canton Football Hall of Fame, the Rainbow Room at Rockefeller Center. Certainly the history of Blenko Glass makes us an endangered species, and it's really been a saga of struggle to survive over 100 years.
The tenacious company that would one day bear his name was the American dream of William John Blenko. Born in London in 1854, the son of an iron worker, he was apprenticed to a bottle maker, where he learned the basics of glassmaking.
Apparently, this may have been something of his own choice. Mother told me once that
his mother had said that he'd always wanted to build furnaces. He was fascinated by furnaces, and even as a child, he'd go out and play in the sand or the mud or the whatever they played in, and he would build furnaces. And then he had done a great deal of studying. He went to France to get the formula for colors, which were not too readily available. He liked to work independently. I don't think he was ever comfortable working for somebody else.
Following medieval textbooks, Blenko learned how to make mouth-blown stained glass, much of which was shipped to America, which had no handmade stained glass industry. Blenko dreamed of having his own glass factory, but England's rigid class structure provided no opportunity to advance. So in 1893, he packed up his vision and carried his dreams to America. Blenko began his lifelong quest in Kokomo, Indiana, where there were railroads for shipping and plenty of natural gas to fire the furnace. At first glance, the 1890s seemed like a good time to make stained glass.
The historical period from 1870 to 1900 in America saw a building boom. The building boom was the result of a great deal of wealth being amassed by industry, barons of industry. And as a result, museums were being built and cultural centers and libraries. And as a result of the building boom, the stained glass industry was revived.
It's also a period when there were lots of very wealthy people. When New York saw people like the Vanderbilts and the Whitneys and the Rockefellers building mansions on Fifth Avenue, and similar things were happening in other major cities as well. And these mansions that were being built for this period that we think of as really elegant and glamorous, many of these mansions at least had leaded glass or stained glass windows. So it's interesting and probably not coincidental that Mr. Blenko came at this time to the U.S. to make stained glass.
A curiosity in Kokomo, Blenko built the 20 by 40-foot factory himself.
My father built that factory with his own two hands. Of course, it was such a little tiny operation, and I can remember my mother saying, when a pot would break and they'd lose the batch, what a financial disaster this would be, that all this work had gone for nothing.
Blenko was plagued with trouble from the start. He had arrived in America in the midst of a depression.
1893 was a year when there was a tremendous economic crisis, really, in the United States, when hundreds of thousands of businesses closed, hundreds of banks failed, and the unemployment rate was about 20%.
The period sometimes referred to as the Gilded Age also saw a great disparity in wealth in the social classes. There were very wealthy individuals in this country and people struggling to make ends meet.
The church building would stop, and of course he sold only glass for church windows. And if there's no church building, there's no church windows going in. So he couldn't make sales and couldn't make any money.
The biggest problem Blenko faced was the cultural prejudice against American glass.
The stained glass studios, they all had a European background. All these people, they were from England or France or Belgium, Germany, Italy, or whatever. And it was a natural bias that they felt that the glass to be good had to be imported.
During this period, the sense of nationalism or identifying with the products that your country makes was very limited. Most individuals felt that the important items had already been made and needed to be purchased from Europe. And that holds true in both the fine and the decorative arts, that people wanted European goods.
Struggling against economic conditions and American prejudice, Blenko would write,
I little dreamt of the difficulties I would have to contend with. If I had known, I probably would never have started.
After 10 years of struggle, Blenko's Kokomo factory failed, and he returned to England. But life in England was not comfortable for Sarah Blenko, his wife, his eldest daughter Grace, and sons Bill and Walter.
Everybody was miserable. Mother said he couldn't stand the way people lived, and they'd buy a penny's worth of tea or a penny's worth of this, and everything was on such a cramped, miserable, restricted kind of a scale. They were Americans. So they said, well, we'll go back again. We're going to live in the United States. So they came back and stayed.
In 1909, Blenko tried again, building a factory in Point Marion, Pennsylvania, where daughter Gertrude was born. In less than 2 years, the factory failed, and he moved south to Clarksburg, West Virginia, where he set up shop again. This time, a reduced tariff on imported glass forced him to close his doors and abandon his dreams for the third time.
In 1921, my father and my grandfather were talking. My grandfather said that he guessed he'd go back into the glass business. He was then 67. He'd had a series of business failures. He had little or nothing to go on financially. And my father said, why at this age do you want to do something like that? And the reply was, because I'm getting tired of sitting on me arse.
They tried again, and this time they were determined. They stuck.
At age 67, Blenko came to Milton, West Virginia, to try one last time to build a stained glass factory. Milton had plenty of natural gas fields, and it was situated on the Chesapeake and Ohio Railway. For Blenko, like Tennyson's Ulysses, old age had yet its honor and its toil. Before the end, some work of noble note could still be done.
I'll tell you a little story. He came into the bank, and as all, Dad greeted him and everything like that, and told him, Mr. Blenko, he just asked Mr. Blenko what he wanted, and he said, well, build factory. So Dad said, well, if you're going to build something, we've got to have the plans. No, he said, do you have the plans with you? Yes, sir. Well, Dad was looking for the plans. He said, well, where are the plans? He said, up here.
In one of the letters he wrote to my uncle, who fortunately kept all of them, he speaks of building the first factory, which would cost about $500. And he said, I can fix up a quarter of the factory and sleep there and do my own cooking and live well on $3 a week.
It was tiny and had the necessary equipment, and I can remember seeing him build the pots. You put up the furnace and you built your walls and everything.
In building the factory, Blenko would write,
Oh boy, talk about mud. They made a lot of fuss about the mud of Flanders, but if it has anything on the mud of West Virginia, I'll eat a bushel of it.
In his late 60s, Blenko could no longer go it alone, so he hired local Milton residents and taught them how to blow glass.
Mr. Blenko worked his men from sunup to sundown, and he told them, I'll never will forget this, he told them on the street, when they was walking over with the mail over to the plant, he said, if you fellas don't want to work, don't bother me. Now, if you want to work, you come on and go over there and go to work. I'll teach you. And if you do, you'll get paid, because I got the money right here. And he had a wad, Lord. He had a big one, and you could see it too, because it stuck out like that in the pocket. He took those boys, Buck Henderson, Barney Dickensheets, and he hired them, and he taught them how to blow glass. I mean it, and they blew it, and they blew it right. If they didn't, they blew it over.
Blenko also received help from his youngest son, Walter, who at first remained skeptical of the new enterprise.
So my father said, okay, but you've never been able to keep a business going before. It's always been a loser. Why do you think it'll be any difference this time? And he said, because I've invented a new way of making glass. And that new way was to use an iron mold and to blow a cylinder of glass into the iron mold.
My great-grandfather came to Milton in 1921 to establish Eureka Art Glass Company. The reason we were called Eureka was he found the elusive ruby red sheet glass formula. And when he found this formula, he threw his hands up in the air and said, "Eureka, I found it."
There are several methods for producing color in glass, and many of the formulas have been around since Egyptian times. But very basically, a metal oxide is added to the batch, and it's through that reaction that we achieve colored glass. Several examples would be manganese, which achieves a pale amethyst to a purple. If you add cobalt, you will get a color from pale blue to dark blue, depending on furnace conditions.
For many years, the people have been trying to make a successful ruby glass with selenium, but when the heat was reapplied in the manufacture of the window, the color would burn out and you wouldn't have ruby anymore.
Ruby glass is said to strike or achieve its desired color by a reheating in the glory hole. If the temperature is too cool, then the glass turns a pale yellow. If it's too hot, it turns blue. So the key to ruby glass is its sensitivity to temperature. And William John Blenko found a way to achieve the perfect ruby color.
If I were to ask Rick Blenko's grandfather, if he was around, to share the formula with me and tell me how he did it, he would look me straight in the eye and say, "Young man, if I tell you the formula to this glass, I'll have to kill you." And that, in a nutshell, really sums up the secrets that exist within the factories and the studios as well. These formulas are proprietary. So one has to constantly reinvent the wheel, even though these formulas exist. They're never shared, especially red. It's very difficult to lay your hands on these formulas.
It was almost the main goal of his life, I think, to have achieved this. And he finally found a ruby that would stay ruby in spite of reheating. So that was it. Eureka! I found it, and it's a big discovery.
Blenko asked his oldest son, Bill, to join the new business. An effective salesman, Bill infused the company with new energy. In the years after World War I, orders from around the country began coming in, and the Eureka Art Glass Company began to take off.
As the economy was improving, there were things like tariffs that protected U.S. glass. Usually also there's a surge of patriotism, and so there would be a certain amount of favoring of U.S. products, including U.S. glass, all of which would have been very much to Mr. Blenko's benefit.
With orders coming in, Blenko needed to build a larger factory in Milton. His old friends, the Harshbargers, had a tract of land for sale.
Dad said, "Well, okay." He said, "How much of it do you want?" And the old Mr. Blenko took his hand up like this. He said, "Way down yonder to way up here." And that thing is about 4 or 5 miles, down like this. Dad said, "Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll give you what you want up in this end," because he wanted to get near the railroad tracks. He wanted a truck put right there, fill that boxcar full of glass, and ship it out. I think it was due to Mr. Blenko's tenacity and his hard way of saying, "Clyde, I want that piece of property." And he got it right where he wanted it, the size and everything. Mr. Blenko got his way.
As the Blenko factory expanded, Milton became proud of its new industry, and the people of Milton grew to love the transplanted Englishman who started it all.
I think he was sort of a peculiarity, probably, in Milton. The local children would gather bottles for him, and he'd pay them a nickel. That was a lot of money to them.
Yeah, they would collect bottles off of the street or out of the restaurants and take them up, and Mr. Blenko, I think, would give them a nickel a bottle. And that's the way they got their spending money on Saturdays.
The kids were eager to visit the shop during eclipses because he'd give them bits of colored glass to look through so they could see the sun.
When Mr. Blenko came, and it was one of the greatest things that ever happened to a small town.
Blenko, an ostensible capitalist, owned his own factory, but he was first and foremost a glassblower. True to his working-class roots, he became a member of the American Socialist Party.
They'd both been very much affected by the condition of England, the poverty, the suffering, the illness, and neglect, and the brutality of it all. It had a deep effect on them.
Blenko became friends with Eugene V. Debs, a leading figure of American socialism. When Debs was imprisoned for criticizing American involvement in World War I, Blenko visited him in the Moundsville, West Virginia penitentiary.
He had heard him speak and was inspired by his message and his manner. He felt that Eugene Debs was a noble character. He really worshipped him, I think.
Over the years, Blenko and Debs developed a close bond and kept up a lifetime correspondence.
November 12, 1915. My dear comrade Blenko, the message of love and loyalty from your heart to mine is enough, and it touches me more deeply than can be expressed in words. Believe me always, E.V. Debs.
In the 1930s, Blenko's health began to fail, and he couldn't blow glass anymore. But he still worked at the Milton factory every day.
He worked until the day he died.
He had this vision. Thank God he was a stubborn Englishman.
Mr. Blenko was fine. Just as wonderful man as you'd ever want to meet in your life.
After a life of struggle and failure, William John Blenko's heart gave out at the age of 79. But his persistent, unconquerable spirit remained with the Blenko factory and inspired generations to come. He could not have known, however, that the struggle was just beginning.
Stay tuned for more of the incredible Blenko story, but do take time now to support this public television station.
Hi friends, I'm Diane Bliss, delighted to be with you as we share this wonderful documentary called Hearts of Glass, and as you get an inside look as to what it takes to make a handcrafted piece of hand-blown glass. With us in the studio today, Richard Blenko, the president of Blenko Glass. Richard, thank you so much for sharing this artistry with us.
My pleasure.
In your work.
Thank you.
And Deborah Novak, the director of this beautiful documentary. You put a lot of work into this, didn't you, my dear?
Yes, we did. This documentary was 2 years in the making, and it was a labor of love. But you know, it's not uncommon in public television that you find documentaries that take years and years to make. That's what public television is all about care, commitment, and concern. And we need your support tonight. When you call the number on your screen and support public television station, we have some really glorious thank you gifts tonight, don't we, Diane?
We are going to share an array of these beautiful pieces that represent the artistry at Blenko Glass, from a $300 contribution to a $60 contribution, and we have a signature vase for a $300 contribution, and Richard for $200.
Yes. And don't forget the Art Deco water bottle, which I want people to keep watching, because in the course of the documentary, you will actually see this piece made. It will go from a glob of minerals on the end of a blowpipe to an actual finished piece, such as I'm holding in my hand right now. And this is available tonight at the $120 contribution level.
And I'd like to say that in this first part of the documentary, we saw the tenacity, the resourcefulness. My goodness gracious, your family just doesn't stop, do they?
He was a stubborn Englishman. He just wouldn't give up.
Well, perhaps that's what it takes to keep a craft like this alive. And is that what drives you, Richard?
Well, it does. I think that you have to have that desire to persevere.
And exactly that's what's happening on public television. If you have the desire to see public television continue, then only you can make it happen, and you do that by connecting with our volunteers.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Megan Miller, and if you're watching the show and you're just
enjoying what you're learning, what you're seeing, and what you're experiencing, consider taking that step to the phone right now. Call in your pledge of support. We have so many different levels. We have 7 different Blenko items that we're offering today. We'd like to show them to you at the $60 level. This beautiful, the size of a candy dish, it fits right in the palm of your hand, and the color and the texture is just beautiful. And the next level are the candle holders at the $100 level, which I think would be a terrific wedding gift or shower gift, or just an I love you message to share with someone. The emerald water bottle that Deborah was just talking about at the $120 level. This is functional as well as beautiful and glorious and terrific on your table. The ruby apple at the $200 level, we're going to hear exactly how that ruby color was perfected by Blenko, and here it is in all its spectacle. The signature vase at the $250 level, terrific story about how the governor of Virginia uses this as his gift whenever he has people visiting him. It's something exclusive. This piece here, exclusive only to public television. So with your donation of $300, you can take this opaline yellow fan vase. Followed by the $500 level, the centerpiece bowl, also known as a compote centerpiece, 14 inches in diameter, crystal blue green, also can be personalized. $1,200 for all 7 pieces, including the videotape of the show that you're watching without the pledge breaks. That's okay. So what level are you thinking about? We start at $60, we go up to $1,200. You decide what level you're comfortable with. We want you to have a piece of Blenko glass as a memento of your contribution to this public television station. Call one of our volunteers right now. Number's right there on your screen. It's one of those actions that you take, and when you're finished, you smile. Trust me.
It works, doesn't
I've done it. It just makes you feel good for weeks on end because you got it off your chest. You finally wrote that check or pulled out that credit card and says, charge that gift to public television.
And if folks have ever thought about supporting public television, well, I say tonight is the night to do it. Do it when we have these wonderful handmade Blenko glass thank you gifts as a way of saying thanks to you for your support. As again, the Art Deco water bottle, available in emerald green, is at the $120 contribution level. And so many folks already have called up for this tonight. So we urge you to please call that number on your screen. Support public television, that's what it's all about. And get one of these wonderful Blenko glass thank you gifts at the very same time.
Now, Richard, you are holding a ruby red apple. Now, can I have the formula for that ruby red apple?
I can't do it. I have to kill you if I told you.
No. Well, if I give you $200, can I at least have the apple?
Yes, you could. Here.
Well, actually, you've got a tool right there that is, what is that called? That
This is
tool?
my etching tool for signing.
And are you willing to sign each piece that goes to our viewers in support of public TV?
Yes, I am. It's a very special night tonight.
So if, in fact, you pledge to public television, the piece of Blenko glass that you received will be signed and dated personally by Richard Blenko. And as we are taking a look at this apple being signed, there are a lot of famous people, aren't there, Deborah, that have pieces of Blenko glass?
Many famous celebrities over the years have had collections of Blenko glass, such as Rudy Valley, the silent film star Rudy Valley.
Carol Lombard, Irving Berlin, the conductor.
Many people. They've started Blenko glass collections, and we invite you to start your own Blenko glass collection. Do it tonight when you can also support public television. And remember, Richard Blenko is here in the studio, and he will personally sign each and every piece, everything from the cobalt blue signature vase to the Art Deco water bottle to the ruby red apple. Richard Blenko is here and he is willing to sign. He's just waiting for your phone call.
And that apple reminds me of all the learning programs that we have on public television, whether it's for the children or for the adults, for the senior citizens who can't get out and enjoy concerts. They are all here on public television because of you.
Well, you may be wondering, how are we going to get these glass pieces to you? Well, they're going to be packaged right at the Blenko glass factory, and then they're going to be shipped to you directly from there. If you want to speed up your delivery of your Blenko pieces, charge that contribution. Right now, when you talk to your volunteer on the phone, tell them you want to charge it, and you're going to see your pieces delivered to you in about 3 weeks. It doesn't come any faster than that in the world of public television. So take this
opportunity to select. Right now when we're showing you all these different items, what level's right for you? 60, 100, 120, 250, 300. You decide the level. Maybe it's the piece itself that you're crazy for, that emerald water bottle. I've got to have that. My husband, this is my husband's favorite piece. When I gave this to him, that was it. He said, oh, he loves this. And the ruby apple, there are people who just love the ruby apple because of the story that they've heard watching the show about how amazing it was to perfect that color. The signature face, one of the most stunning pieces in all the collection that we're showing you here tonight. And remember, each item has a different giving level. You decide what you're comfortable with. This particular piece you're looking at here, the yellow opaline fan vase at the $300 level, exclusive to public television only. This centerpiece bowl is the one that you can have personalized. As you know, Richard is signing and dating every piece, but this one in particular, $500, or if you go for the entire $1,200 package, that one particular compote centerpiece will be personalized. And you know, our floor manager was just telling us, it's Mom and Dad's 50th anniversary. Wouldn't that be the perfect gift? What a memory. All right, okay, we've inspired you. Now go to that phone.
You've laughed, you've gasped, you've cried, you've cringed. You've experienced television at its best, thanks to our members. You can join public television right now by calling the number you see on your screen. It's simple. Use your Visa or MasterCard to make your pledge. Or ask for an invoice, then mail in your check. Our operators have all the information. Please, make that call now and become a member of public television.
The programs on public television are always memorable. The pieces of Blenko glass are very collectible.
Very much so. They are indeed. And you know, Blenko glass has received a lot of notice lately for its collectability, hasn't it, Diane?
Specifically, we ran into the USA Weekend. We went to the experts at the Antique Roadshow on advice for what 20th century collectibles might make you rich in the 21st century. Well, we ran into a lady named Judy Campbell, who was a contributing editor, and she is a personal property appraiser as well as a national syndicated columnist, and she is also one of the participating appraisers with the Antiques Roadshow. And so we did an interview with Judy, and we're going to share parts of that interview with you right now. Let's listen in. Hello, I'm Diane Bliss, and with me today is Judy Campbell. What caused us to first make the connection with you is USA Weekend had an article about the 26 things to collect for the new millennium. And one of the things mentioned was Blenko glass.
That's right.
And you were the one, I think, who mentioned that Blenko was a collectible. What prompted that decision?
Well, our retrospective interest into the 50s has been phenomenal this past year, and it's going over into the new millennium. We have so much to look forward to in the designs that were there in the 50s, which were so innovative. As abstraction came into art and sculpture, so did it come into furnishings. And like Eames and Bertoia, Noguchi translated into furniture, so did Blenko into their wonderful glass. Vibrant colors, wonderful forms, wonderful designs, something that is actually timeless, but it reflects back on the 50s when they became so very innovative.
Well, I enjoy so much hearing from Judy Campbell and learning what I can expect of my Blenko pieces that I have. There's one piece in particular that I am very fond of, and that is the emerald water pitcher. The first time I ever saw the show, my husband and I were talking about it, and he said, we have to get that. And let me tell you, the day that came packaged from the Blenko factory, and it was very well packaged, it has all this foamy stuff. It's actually formed right around the piece, super tight so it doesn't move in the box. My husband opened that up, and it was like Christmas for him. He thought that was the greatest thing. It has a special place at the top of our china cabinet. All right, now I know everyone doesn't get emotional about their thank you gifts from public television, but you might, because this is a very special day that we're having here, so call in your pledge of support. Keep on calling during the program, and now we're going to go back to this wonderful documentary, Hearts of Glass. And Richard, will you stay with us?
I do, I promise.
Okay.
After William John's death, Bill Blenko inherited both the company and his father's lifelong struggle. In the Depression, Blenko Glass was threatened with extinction, and Bill was forced to fight for its life.
When the announcement came that the stock market had crashed, everything was at a standstill. Unless you lived through that, you can't really appreciate or understand how everything was just frozen.
Money was so tight everywhere. People were not building new churches, which of course were the major users of stained glass. People weren't building much of anything. And stained glass had been used in any number of other kinds of buildings, even though churches certainly were the dominant market. So there was very little use for stained glass at that point.
Bill Blenko faced hard times with determination and a firm handshake.
He had a knack of getting along with people and meeting them, making them feel at home. Bill had a business sense that Dad lacked. He became quite a salesman, a natural-born salesman. He was a clown, too. Oh, he was more fun.
He put the entire business onto a business-like footing. My grandfather was a much better glassmaker than he was a businessman. And Bill was able to carry this forward.
To survive, Blenko needed to diversify. And the obvious direction to go was tableware, utilitarian items that also had decorative value.
My dad was calling on a studio in Boston, and in the course of his visit there, he met an importer from Italy, and he had a little catalog showing amphoras and different pieces of boneware, and he said, "Can you make these?" My dad said, "Sure, we can make those." He hadn't the slightest idea how to make them.
To save the factory in his father's vision, Bill had to think fast. At the Huntington Tumbler Company in nearby Huntington, West Virginia, he found two Swedish-American glassmakers, Axel Muller, an experienced blower, and his brother Louis, an accomplished finisher who had changed his name to Miller. After completing their shift at the Tumbler Company, the brothers traveled 15 miles to Milton, where every evening they taught Blenko's stained glass men how to make vases, pitchers, bowls, and other tableware entirely by hand. Stern Nordic perfectionists, they demanded the finest work from their students and from themselves. Soon, the brothers began to work full-time for Blenko, where they developed a new line of glassware and oversaw day-to-day operations.
They were fantastic glass blowers. They worked. They didn't goof off and screw around. But they went there to work, they blew glass, and they went home, that's it. The next day they showed up, and they blew glass. That's who they were.
So all this handwork production we do stemmed from those two men. Prior to that, we were doing nothing but making sheet glass for stained glass windows.
Without the skills from the trade and therefore the teaching, etc., which these two Swedes brought to Blenko Glass, that it very likely would not have survived.
William John Blenko devoted his life to creating brilliant colors for stained glass windows. His years of study were not wasted, for his colors would be one of the most distinctive features of the new tableware. Blenko Glass brought the colors of the cathedral into America's homes. A medieval spectrum of sacred hues was transformed into a rainbow of secular vases, pitchers, and bowls. In the early 1930s, a new line was developed by the Swedes, and even the earliest pieces show the distinctive Blenko colors and the aesthetics of hand craftsmanship.
Many times people will use the term Blenko synonymous for brilliant hues and color. And what they did was they had very simple utilitarian designs, but they were very aesthetically pleasing. I mean, there was a real aesthetic rigorousness to their designs as well. They had a real brilliance in use of color, a high sophistication level in chemistry, and the ability to play around with chemical compounds and they were very inventive in their use of transforming colors that were traditionally used for stained glass into the consumer culture.
It's very clear when something is hand-blown, because there are irregularities that, say, pressed glass would never ever have. Because hand-blown glass starts out as a liquid, it retains the fluidity of a liquid. That means that sometimes there are ripples in it, sometimes it changes a bit in thickness, which, if it's colored glass, alters the color a bit.
We speak of them as imperfections, but they're elements of the design that come from the process, such as little bubbles, which are called seeds. They're marks of the artist's hand or the artist's breath. It's a sign of the process. It also makes each piece unique, and aesthetically it causes the light to reflect in really unusual ways, and it makes the color and the design much more rich and complex because of the bubbles that are in hand-blown glass.
It's the very imperfections that are caused by the manufacturing process that show the human being behind the glass and makes working with Blenko glass a human experience, contact with people.
These large machines are able to make piece upon piece to churn out a large number of identical pieces, which is wonderful in many ways, but what you lose with that is the real eye of the artist. Blenko has a commitment to hand-blown glass, and it really separates their pieces from mass production pieces because they're pieces of art.
Industrially made objects are all identical unless somebody's made a mistake. And because they're identical and have a certain level of perfection, theoretically at least, they seem almost to dehumanize us. Whereas something that's handmade is unique. Nobody can blow two identical glass tumblers. There's going to be a slight variation in where the ripples are or where the bubbles are. When we look at things that are unique, they appeal to our own individualism. And they reflect the individuality of the artist who made them as well. The work mediates between the artist and the viewer. And so there's always this sense of a person who made the glass, who's not that far away from the object, and therefore not that far away from the person who's looking at the object.
In the 1930s, Louis and Axel taught the Blenko workers the basics of glassmaking, which had been in use for hundreds of years. The same process used in medieval Europe was now used in Milton, West Virginia. Like other glass factories, past and present, Blenko operates on a traditional seniority system.
When you first come into this company, you're hired in as a carry-in. You're just carrying it after the glass is finished to the layer. From there, you move up after a certain period of time of apprenticeship, really. You learn how to stick up, which is the boy that comes over and puts a putty on the bottom of the glass after it's blown. And I break it off, and he takes it to the glory hold for the finisher. From there, you move to a bit boy, and you either gather a handle or a ball or a foot. Sometimes you might gather a ring for a blower or finisher, either one. From there, you move up to a gathering boy. After it's cooled down enough to be covered in glass again, he'll cover it and bring it to me. Once you become a gatherer, you're asked which position you want to go to from there. Either a blower or a finisher. And once one of the blowers or finisher retires or whatever, you become one or the other. I went through every stage in 9 years' time. Then I become a blower. They put me in the chair. You know, it's 9 years is just about as much as a doctor goes. The doctor's 8 years, I think, and then he's become a doctor. And here it's 9 years, and you're become a glass blower.
glass-making process is a dance. It is like no other art or craft that one can imagine. And when you see that dance, it's captivating. It is seemingly a very simple dance. And the process is one that draws one into it. And once you try it, you're hooked. And as a young man, I became hooked the first time I tried it.
All of the activity and all the drama that one sees in the glass factory, I mean, the sort of darkened factory with all the hot glass running around, people on with glass on pipes and people blowing and smoke and the smell, the sound. Glass blowing is a performance. That's why you have people coming here to the visitor center to watch people blow glass, because it's so unique and such a wonderful performance, art.
The ball boy starts it off. He'll go gather a ball. After he's made it, he'll block it down and then put a little puff air in it to make it bubble start. Then the gatherer will take it from him, he'll cover it in glass again and bring it to me. I'll block it and paddle it. I'm setting the weight with the block and paddle. The block cools it and the paddle shapes it. The paddle puts the weight where you want it. People seem to think that blowing is difficult. Well, the blowing part's not that difficult. The part that's difficult is being able to take the weight and the knob and put it where you want it. I'll put a little air in it, just enough to blow it up to where I think it'll go in a mold without overfilling it. And then I'll blow the piece of glass. You inhale, you'll fry yourself. You'll fry your lungs a little bit. You'll know it for several days following. And then with Stick-Up Boy, puts a putty on the bottom of the glass. And I'll break it off on the putty, and then it goes to the glory hole, and it's heated in for the finisher to trim. Once the finisher's trimmed it, then he'll heat it back up. That takes the edge off of where he sheared it. And then he'll open the glass up the way he wants it to look by the design. After he's done with it, it's broken off the putty onto a fork and carried over to the layer. 4 to 4.5 hours later, it comes off the other side, and that's when it's the most purest form that you'll ever see glass, because it's never been touched by human hands. I feel like you have to be artistic, be able to take nothing and make something out of it. Well, it's like a painter. A painter sees a picture in his head, and his hands translate it onto a canvas. Well, I don't have a canvas, I have glass and my hand and a blowpipe. I have to see it in my mind, and then the hands will go from there. I feel like it's more than just a job. I mean, it is an art.
In the 1930s, Blenko glass enjoyed an explosion of popularity.
This was the great era of form follows function, which was espoused in all the fine arts. Walter Gropius and the Bauhaus School were doing this for everywhere from architecture to fine arts to decorative arts. And it was very much so the philosophy at the time that art was supposed to be simple. Its form, its utilitarian purpose determined its aesthetic validity. And Blenko, was very much in keeping with the rest of the world at this time. Blenko, I think, found the combination between utilitarianism, functionalism, and aesthetics, married with their really brilliant use of color.
Many of the forms in early Blenko pieces would turn out to have a similarity to Art Deco. Clean mechanical lines, streamlined characteristics were major traits of Art Deco. The natural fluidity of glass, especially when it's blown, it wants to take shapes that are like that.
This piece was made in 1938, and it's really remained in production as one of the favorite pieces that Blenko has really ever produced. And it is a really good example of utilitarianism, but with a real attention to good design. Nothing in this piece interferes with its purpose as a vase or a water pitcher, and it's aesthetically pleasing. And when you add the richness of the Blenko color, it's really what makes this a signature Blenko piece.
In 1936, Blenko was contacted by archaeologists at Colonial Williamsburg.
They had been able to locate many pieces of broken glass, especially behind the kitchen of the governor's palace. And they had reassembled those and had been able to reconstruct some of the glassware that was being used in Williamsburg at that time. And what they wanted to do was to reproduce that. They wanted to know if the Blenko Glass Company could do it.
Between 1936 and 1967, Blenko manufactured reproductions for Colonial Williamsburg. Blenko was chosen for the original glass contract because we had the ability to make historic English glassware, made the same way it was made several hundred years ago, using original tools, techniques, and styles. The pieces we made featured air twist stems, authentic colors, and lead glass that rings like a tuning fork. The line was featured in National Geographic and earned us national recognition.
With the success of the 1930s, Blenko appeared to be on the verge of stability. But the struggle would continue, and the most serious challenge to the company's existence lay just ahead. World War II would claim 41 of Blenko's skilled glass workers for military service.
They cleaned us out every week. Who's gone this week? Who's gone this week?
Among those who enlisted was Bill Jr., who became a captain in the Air Corps. With skilled craftsmen in the service, William John Blenko's vision would have to wait until the war was over.
The story of Blenko Glass will continue. Take the opportunity now to show your support for this public television station by making a pledge.
Unique perspective of what goes into making a piece of hand-blown glass. In this last segment, we really shared the experience of what happens in the factory at Blenko Glass. And Deborah, you spent a lot of time creating this documentary and working with these people, didn't you?
Yes, I did indeed. And we took our crew right into the Blenko Glass factory, right in Milton, West Virginia. And it was a very, very difficult shoot because you have to understand that those furnaces are going at, what about, Richard, would you say about 3,000 degrees?
That's correct.
3,000 degrees. So it was very, very hot. We were there in May. You can imagine what it's like in August. Also, what you don't realize is those furnaces make a lot of noise. So we all had to wear earplugs the entire time we were there. And we shot about 5 days there.
Speaking of noise, does it take a lot of effort and a lot of noise to sign a piece?
It doesn't. Let's do that right now. We're talking.
Would you do this
Yes,
for us?
That's the reason why we're here tonight,
This
isn't
could be your piece right now.
That's correct.
Of the beautiful water bottle for a $120 contribution that Richard is signing. He is signing his entire name, and he is also personalizing it with the year 2000. So you have a signed and dated piece. And when we talk about which pieces are signed and dated,
yes.
Deborah, if you go into a store, can you find a signed and dated piece?
Well, maybe if you went into a department store, you'd be lucky enough to find a piece of Blenko glass. But I can tell you right now, it won't be signed by Richard Blenko. That's only available when you call the number on your screen and support public television. Richard is a volunteer for public television. He's been doing it for many, many years. He cares about public television, and we know that you do too. So please, call that number on your screen. Get one of these wonderful Blenko glass thank you gifts and support public television right now.
And I have another way to put Richard to work even more.
Okay. And what is that?
How about personalizing, like say
Yes.
the compost
Correct.
piece? Would you be willing to personalize it for a $500 contribution to somebody? Happy anniversary, Tom and Sue.
Oh, certainly, yes. Oh, certainly.
And where would you personalize this particular piece, Richard?
And if he says spectacular as this, we do it on the bottom. We can turn it upside down. We can take the piece, we'll etch it. And again, we can put to someone, from someone, a special anniversary. And again, you're always seeing pieces of Blenko glass in places like public broadcasting here or in major museums.
And your chance to get it is right now, not tomorrow or the next day. While Richard is here signing at this moment, make that phone call and play.
We've given you so many reasons tonight to go to the phone and call this public television station. The number's right there. Let's take a look at all of the items in the different levels. At $60, we have the amethyst bowl, which is actually, it looks really huge there, but it's a nice, small, intimate piece. It's just, and look at the way the light reflects in it. The candle holders at the $100 level, perfect gift for that couple getting married or just engaged. What a nice gift that would be. Also, at the $120, the emerald water bottle. This is my husband's favorite piece. This is the one he covets, and we do too. It's functional. It's a piece of art. It's a collectible. The ruby apple, for those of you that have been so inspired by the story of how difficult it was to perfect that process to get that ruby color. Here's the signature vase. We've heard earlier the story of how the governor of Virginia uses this as his very special gift. It's cobalt blue with a topaz accent. Absolutely beautiful. The fan vase, which is exclusive, just exclusive to public television. Reminiscent of, I think, it kind of Art Deco-ish looking. I love that. The compost that you just saw us talking about. And at that $500 level, for those of you joining at that major donor level list, it's terrific. That can be personalized with a special message on it. $1,200 for all those pieces, which include, at the $1,200 level, not only do you get all 7 pieces, you get the videotape with the full history. So if you choose the $1,200 level and you're going to be sharing these as gifts, some people keep them for an entire collection for themselves, some people give them, but the video will just add more value and memories to all of the pieces. So you decide, then call.
This is a very special moment on public television. It's not very often where we can bring the program right into your home. When you receive your piece of Blenko glass, you will actually touch and feel the public television documentary that showed you how this was made. Deborah, why did you pick public television to present this documentary?
Diane, we did not even consider commercial channels. And why? Because it takes time to tell a history like the history of Blenko glass. You have to take a thoughtful consideration of the historical elements. And after seeing Ken Burns and all the great documentaries that are available, we felt that public television had the right appreciation for handmade glass and for the artists that you find in the Blenko glass factory. So that's why public television.
Public television, just like Blenko glass, is quite unique in this world of production glass companies. Isn't that right, Richard?
Oh, absolutely.
And this is not made down an assembly line, is it?
That's correct. Again, the glass you're seeing here tonight can't be made by machine, by the color, by the weight, by the size, the fact we have hand-clappered feet, putting decoration. Again, in this world of mechanization, you're losing the craftsmanship that it was endemic to America. And again, it's only available here.
And this is the opportune time for you to call to pledge your support to this station. And I'd like to talk a moment about this entire museum-size collection, if you would. For a pledge of $1,200, this collection represents the various artistry of Blenko glass in the area of design. Richard, would you comment on that?
Yes, absolutely. Let's look at the glass you're seeing in the package. Of course, you're having, it can be the Art Deco or Nouveau vase that has its fluted, hand-clappered feet. It could be the ruby red apple that, in fact, we made for Tiffany's in New York with the green stem, plaid.
The Art Deco water bottle.
That's correct.
Perfect example of Deco characteristics.
That's correct. Or having the hand-formed bowl designed by Wayne Houston in the early 1960s. You could be having the, of course, the Hearts of Glass candle holders, of course, made just for the film Hearts of Glass.
And we will continue to talk about this, if you would, mini museum collection for a $1,200 contribution. Truly a treasure, and your gift of 1200 will be treasured by PBS.
I found my treasure. The last time I watched the show, it was the emerald water pitcher, but tonight it's this fantastic amethyst little dish. It's so sweet. What a wonderful candy dish at the $60 level. And you know, I want to inspire you. If you've never supported this station before, tonight's your night. What a great way to become a member of the station. $60 contribution. And how terrific, because you're going to get this as your thank you gift. And every time you look at it, you're going to remember the first time you donated to your public television station. Judy Campbell was an appraiser that we talked to, and I'm really interested in finding out how does the fact that this is such an interesting kind of a lost art, I'm just so excited thinking about Judy Campbell's going to share with us a little bit about what it means to come from the process of this old world style of making glass, and how does that affect the value. So as you decide to donate and decide which piece you want, let's listen to what Judy has to say about the value and how that affects. Let's listen.
It's such a rare form to see today, something that is handmade in this vast world of technology. We're so grateful to have a wonderful company like that still available, where they take their time, do the hand blowing, the hand molding. Each piece is so very unique, a real treasure. This design actually was started in, I believe, 1938. It's been just loved over the years. The fact that it is signed and it is absolutely a beautiful piece will mean so much to people, because who knows down the road if this is an endangered species, if it will be around forever.
We heard from an appraiser with the Antiques Roadshow. Judy Campbell has been there for 5 years as a participating appraiser, and you saw her comment about the signed water bottle.
Yes.
And the only way the water bottle will be signed is if you pledge to this public television station and call us right now with that generous pledge. We're talking about the craftsmanship and the artistry it takes. Richard, you're holding a signature vase for a wonderful contribution at the $250 level. How many men does it take to make that piece right there?
It takes 6 men to make each piece. They're hand trained at the Blenko factory. We're using hand-carved wooden molds and wooden tools. We're using a European method. And again, the size, the weight you're seeing me holding the piece can't be duplicated by a machine, and very special, of course.
And what we also know is that it takes about 4 hours from when that glass is initially gathered. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And then it goes through a process at the very end. What's that all about, Richard?
Okay, of course, all types of glass have to be annealed or cooled. So in fact, 6 men are making each piece, perhaps taking 10 to 15 minutes per piece. After the piece is blown, it must be cooled down in an annealing oven for another 4.5 hours. So again, imagine this entire process takes a very long time.
And what we would like to do is say that your pledge will take a very short time to make. About 60 seconds of your time, and you will make an investment, not only in this public television station, but in a piece of artwork which we will send you with tremendous pride, because you made a very generous gift of, let's say, $250.
That's right, something very special.
Or perhaps at the $60 level.
That's right.
Or uniquely crafted for public television, this gorgeous amber opal.
Stunning, isn't it? Really, the color's quite stunning.
For a $300 pledge. We're going to talk more about this piece and its collectability and limited edition as well. Call right now, friends, and make that pledge of support, because when you support public television, Richard, the children of the community, the grandchildren of so many people, of the workers at Blenko, they will be getting a special treat on public television, won't they?
Absolutely. Again, it's very special because, of course, how would you save the history of Blenko glass but through this film?
And right now, save public television with your pledge. You make all the difference in the world. Trust us.
Oh.
Deborah, I've been watching you hold the pieces, and I think how wonderful that looks. What an experience to actually hold a piece of Blenko glass.
You know, you've hit on it, Megan, because handmade glass has a feel to it that is just unlike anything else, and certainly nothing that's ever made by a machine. Also, the colors. You know, we said in the documentary that Blenko glass brought the colors of the cathedral into America's homes, and that's really true because their colors are so vibrant and alive, and they shimmer in the light.
This is a living piece of art.
I know. This is available tonight at the $60 contribution level. It's the amethyst candy dish.
It's wonderful.
And
Look at
what I have. I don't know if you can see this, but every single piece, as you've heard, this is what makes it so special. Every piece that you get from this public television station is signed by Richard.
Absolutely, every piece. So I just hope folks out there will take this opportunity to support this public television station and call the number on your screen. If you've ever thought about supporting public television, you know what I'd say? I'd say tonight's the night to do it.
This is the day to
when
do it.
we have these wonderful handmade Blenko glass thank you gifts available. So we hope you make that decision to support public television right now.
And I have one more inspirational thought. Okay, you've decided, you've picked the piece, you know which one you want. Let me tell you, normally in the world of public television, we know sometimes it takes a while. If as soon as the payment is made, 3 weeks it's going to be shipped from the factory. So you've got no excuses. Call and pledge.
Becoming a member is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1, get your credit card and bring it to the phone. 2, call the number you see on the bottom of your screen. 3, talk to one of our friendly operators. Your pledge supports a whole year of your favorite public television shows. That's it. A 2-minute call makes you a member and shows your support for public television. You can pay by check if you prefer, but by all means, make that call now.
It is so fabulous to have Richard Blenko with us here today and to have these pieces signed and dated, and also to have that centerpiece compote that is
spectacular, I think. Absolutely spectacular.
That at a $500 level can be personalized with, what, 4 to 5 words, Richard?
That's correct. Make it small so we can make it legible for you.
The importance of signing is so evident because we're talking about, you're now the 4th generation of Blenko men. It started out with William John.
That's correct.
Then Bill, and then William Jr. Now we have yourself here. How about any sons of yours, Richard? Are there any little Blenkos in the works for taking over Blenko glass?
Well, in fact, I'm the last of the line, the last of the generation. There are no suitors for the Blenko family after I'm gone.
Oh, my goodness. So the pieces you signed may be the very last to carry the Blenko name?
That's correct. And we talked about it earlier, the fact that Blenko glass resides in major museums. I do signings at the Museum of Fine Arts every year, the Art Institute Chicago in December. So again, you're getting something to start your collection with, and I'm the last of the line.
It is so spectacular that this particular yellow fan vase was especially created. Richard, we talked quite at length about what the public television viewer might like and what made you decide on the opaline, the amber opaline.
Well, again, a very historic color. You're not seeing colors like this made back in the 1930s. For which we pulled from our archives as shape and design. And again, I think it's a very spectacular color. This opaline yellow, the clappered foot that can't be duplicated by hand, and perfect for our customers and our people, our patrons of public television.
And only for public television.
Yes.
This piece will not be given out any other way. You'll never see it, you'll never find it. Only for the limited number who pledge for public television will you be the proud owner of this very collectible yellow.
And signed tonight.
That's right. Call now, won't you? Thank you.
Well, I'm holding my mother's. Mother has called and said, this is what she is pledging for. This is so unique.
Oh, who can but this color is opaline amber, and it is like liquid sunshine. It is the brightest yellow you can imagine. And I hope folks at home can see that. This piece is made specifically for public television, so you can only get it by calling the number on your screen.
That's right. Oh, thank you for sharing that with us. You know, time is going so fast. I
know.
can't believe how quick it's going, and we're getting ready to go into the conclusion of the show. Can you tell us, as the director of the show, what we're looking forward to seeing here?
Well, coming up, we will take a look at Blenko in the post-World War II era. And this is when they started to get resident designers who actually lived at Blenko and worked hands-on with the craftsmen. People like Winslow Anderson and Joel Philip Myers and other great artists in the studio movement. So keep watching and keep calling for Blenko glass and public television.
In the post-war years, Blenko glass was on the move, and a new factory would go up. In the building boom following the war, stained glass orders were at an all-time high, many of them coming from devastated European cathedrals. At home, its decorative ware found new markets. The lively shapes and bright colors reflected the optimism of the nation and appealed to the burgeoning consumerism of the 1950s.
I think there were many reasons why Blenko became incredibly popular after the war. One of them has to do with the economic conditions of America in general. The American economy was booming after the war. We were making a lot of money, and we were beginning to purchase things for our houses, and they were beautiful. People could point to a little piece of art in their own house.
There was a tremendous amount of optimism. We were the most powerful, the most important country in the world. I think that the bright colors that were used in Blenko glass in that period are clearly a reflection of it. Not only, I think, the optimism, but even a sense of energy, ability, capability, a kind of certainty about one's capacities.
In 1947, Bill Blenko made a decision that was rare in the glass industry at that time. He hired a full-time designer. The recent Alfred University graduate who came to visit him was a very young Winslow Anderson.
When I got off the bus, and it was a gray, drizzly day, and nobody knew where to tell me where to go. Eventually, I found someone that said, yeah, down there. And it was a dirt road that looked like it went to nowhere. And I felt like turning around and going back, but I knew the school would say, we sent you down here. You mean you didn't even see Mr. Blenko? So I kept on going, and when I came to the office up here, when I went in, I was greeted by Mr. Blenko. I never met a more gracious or charming man, and we hit it off just splendidly. He showed me the plan, brought me to his home. We just had a lovely visit, and I said, by the way, you never looked at my folio. I lugged this damn folio all the way on the bus, photographs and drawings of what I'd done at school. He always said, to hell with it, you're hired. Anyway.
From a curator's standpoint, I see one of the important things that Blenko has done over the years was to hire designers to work in their factory. I think that collaborative effort between designer and glassmaker is one of the more important innovations of the 20th century.
I think we were probably one of the first glass factories to have a resident designer. Most people, they got a design firm to do their work. Well, Winslow lived here, and the things he made were very well received, and we've got this reputation of high-quality design and high-quality workmanship.
And I went along as they began their work and checked the first pieces that they were boring to make sure they had the right mold and the dimensions were right. I worked with the mold maker who cut the molds from the trees. The molds were made from cherrywood trees, and they were cut in half, and then he'd scoop a negative shape, and that was used as the mold. And that had to be checked to make sure he cut that right. I never had sketches. They worked from the eye and the mold. If the curve was close to what I wanted, but not quite, instead of showing them a drawing of just a small change, I say, no, if that was a lady's calf of her leg going to an ankle, you say, well, ugly leg she's got. Make it a little thinner here, then swell out a little bigger. Oh, we know. And then we use other parts of the anatomy to describe line and size and so on. And it was a way of communicating, but I never held up blueprints or anything of that sort. We were above blueprints.
They began to really explore avenues that they hadn't done before. They took more chances. They let the artist play with a little bit, just go with it a little bit. Some of the best things I hear were accidents at first.
It was first made as a straight decanter. One morning, the blower, his tension was diverted, and I looked into the hole when he was turning it, and he kept it a little too long, and he kind of came to and brought it out, and he waited so long, it just drooped. And because that was going to be, he was going to normally just knock it off his pipe. But I recognized right away, there's a good idea.
Winslow, in particular, designed pieces that really speak to the material of glass. They're very fluid, they're very transparent, and I think that in terms of the museum piece, they'll hold their value down through the ages.
I'm certainly very impressed by a lot of Winslow Anderson's work. He really was a pioneer in a lot of respects. His work is tremendously diverse. I think that it's absolutely essential, certainly to Blenko's having really been able to take off and survive and have a strong tradition.
In 1963, Joel Philip Myers became the resident designer at Blenko.
I mean, I had a unique opportunity. Not only was it unique, I was the only designer who was learning to blow glass in the world. Now that sounds rather extravagant, but I believe it's true. All the designers that I subsequently met, none of them ever blew glass. They were designers. So I was unique in that I was not only designing, but I was in the process of learning how to make.
Joe didn't blow glass when he came to work as a designer. I helped teach him, yeah. Jarfly Richmond and I taught Joe how to blow glass. And then Joe would got onto it himself, and he'd work at noon hours and stuff like everybody else did.
The first time I actually tried to blow into the pipe, you know, like the first time I got up on the thing and tried to blow, they had put hot green pepper in the pipe. And when I blew, I was, what is this? When I would leave to gather glass, they would put lit cigarettes on the bench. Another time, they put oil on the block so that when I blocked it with the hot glass, a big flame came up. I provided a lot of, I think, good-humored laughs for the workers. They certainly provided me the opportunity of developing myself both technically and creatively in field of glass. And I look back on these years, of course, as wonderful years of discovery and of emergence, so to speak.
Being in the glass environment has fostered a new sensibility that we see in the studio glass movement, where designers have developed a desire to create sculptural glass and taking the glass medium another step forward. And then Joel went on to become one of the best known of the studio glass artists.
There's a real love of innovation and a real emphasis on artistic excellence. And I think that must have really laid the foundations for some of the things that happened later in the studio glass movement.
In the 1960s, Blenko became a mecca for glass artists. Besides resident designers, early members of the studio movement, such as Fritz Dreisbach, paid visits to Blenko to learn the techniques of master craftsmen such as Connie Blake and Shorty Findlay.
It was a boon to Blenko. It was a boon to these young people to have an opportunity to come into the factory, to work with actually complete freedom. So I know that I had a unique position, a unique opportunity. I mean, I know that today. As I even knew it, I knew it then too, but I know it better now.
Throughout the 1960s, there would be more colors, more designs, more innovations, more crises, more struggle, more loss. Once again, the reins of the company would pass from father to son. In 1969, Bill Blenko, the man with the charming personality, died, and his son William became president. It was during Bill Jr.'s tenure that American glass faced its most serious challenge. One by one, West Virginia glass factories closed their doors.
The old company stopped innovating. They didn't take chances. The world was changing around them. What's working against us is higher natural gas prices, wages, and foreign competition. They're paying 25 cents an hour in Mexico.
Business is not like it used to be. My granddad came here, gas was 20 cents a thousand. A few years back, it got to be $6.02.
Styles change and techniques change. And as a result, the public wants different materials, different kinds of designs.
The cost of labor and training labor, workers are paid more, overhead is tremendously high.
This NAFTA and the GATT treaty opened up these third world countries, and we can't compete against them. Not with the wages we have to pay, the gas bill we have to pay. It's just not right.
In 1996, William's son Richard became Blenko's president and the fourth generation to wrest a living from molten glass.
Every day is a struggle and the future is unknown.
I feel that if Blenko glass were to disappear from the scene, the whole art form would be lost.
It would definitely be a loss for our community if Blenko closed.
It would be the end of an era. You know, I don't know what will happen in the future. It's really difficult to imagine this glass-making tradition dying.
It would be a loss of an industry and a method and a way of doing things that you won't find again.
But we're still here. You can find us in the White House, you can find us as a Christmas gift or a wedding gift. People still know the name.
I would hope that Blenko glass is around for a long time.
People still desire something that shows the hand of the craftsman.
The works that come from Blenko give you this sense of individualism.
Blenko is unique in this country.
It's so important historically.
They've kept alive a tradition that is dying everywhere in the world.
I hope the name goes on. I hope the tradition continues. I hope we're here for another 100 years.
I hope.
I wish.
I would hope.
I just wish.
I hope.
And I hope my sons enjoy this.
There are a lot of wonderful people who work here, and they all have a heart of glass.
Hearts of Glass was made possible by generous grants from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, the National Educational Telecommunications Association, the West Virginia Governor's Community Partnership Grant Program, the American Craft Council, Arch Coal, the Foundation for the Tri-State Community, Art Alliance for Contemporary Glass, the West Virginia Humanities Council, and the Southern Highlands Handicraft Guild.
The documentary Hearts of Glass that we've just watched truly has captured the essence of what it takes to make an American handcraft, a piece of hand-blown glass. If you've enjoyed the story, or all the stories on public television, take the moment right now to support the station that brings you quality programming all year long, and not only for yourself, but your entire family. Blenko Glass is just a wonderful company that is preserving a tradition. But on public television, we preserve many fine traditions and their quality educational programs. Call now.
Hearts of Glass was made possible by generous grants from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, the National Educational Telecommunications Association, the West Virginia Governor's Community Partnership Grant Program, the American Craft Council, Arch Coal, the Foundation for the Tri-State Community, Art Alliance for Contemporary Glass, the West Virginia Humanities Council, and the Southern Highlands Handicraft Guild.
In this program, we heard so many people give their best wishes that Blenko Glass will continue on and on. Deborah, you captured this film beautifully.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Diane. It was a labor of love. And we do hope Blenko Glass continues, and we do hope public television continues. But it can only do so with your support. So we urge you to support this public television station by calling the number on your screen right now and getting one of these wonderful pieces of handmade Blenko glass as our thank you gift to you when you call right now.
Deborah, you are holding a piece which I call unique, very unique, just like public television.
Indeed.
There's a story that goes with the shape of that glass.
Well, Blenko solved a design problem way back in 1938. Let's say, Richard, let's say you and I are sitting at the breakfast table and you say, would you please pass the water pitcher to me? Well, traditional water pitchers have a handle on them. And so if I'm going to pass it, look, there's no place for the person to take it once it's there. Well, Blenko solved that a long time ago. Please pass the water. Look at this. Ta-da!
It works.
Done, right? In one smooth movement. This is the Art Deco water bottle. It's available tonight at the $120 contribution level. It's a wonderful example of Art Deco characteristics, and it does exemplify the principle of form follows function, which we saw in the documentary.
We saw a marvelous history of all of the Blenko glass craftsmanship, how it developed over the years, how the designers came into play, and more importantly, how all the members of the Blenko family worked with such rigor and passion to keep this art form alive, Richard.
That's right. I mean, imagine the struggle. My great-grandfather was nearly 70 years old when starting the business, working by himself. I had his son join him 2 years later. Now he's nearly 70 years old. Struggled, failed 3 times, and here we are today.
And the struggles still continue because you have a very unique operation in today's world, don't you, Richard?
Yes. Very competitive, of course. American factories, the hand glass industry in America is virtually gone, under assault by imports from the Far East or from other countries, and it's a tough to go.
Blenko glass is made by Americans for Americans, and we hope that people will support public television and support American handicrafts at the very same time.
And we have a beautiful pair of candle holders for a $100 contribution that represents the hearts of glass because they are 2 hearts and they are beautifully done. We'll share them with you a little more in just a moment.
Okay, you've inspired me over there showing me all those items. Why don't we take a look at every single Blenko thank you gift that we're offering today for your pledge of support. At the $60 level, we have the wonderful amethyst bowl. It's a small, intimate, lovely textured bowl, something that you would love to just hold on to. If you can even imagine that with some glass. The candle holders at the $100 level, which I think are a perfect wedding gift or shower gift, or how about even a graduation present or something special. The emerald water pitcher, we just saw a terrific demonstration on why this is functional as well as beautiful and artistic, and what a great collectible. Followed by the ruby apple at the $200 level. We've learned so much about how long it took to perfect that ruby red glass color. The signature vase, such a collectible item at the $250 level. Cobalt blue with the amber wraparound, simply lovely. And then the exclusive piece, the yellow opaline fan vase at the $300 level, exclusive just to public television viewers, just like you. Call in your pledge. At the $500 level, the compo piece, to remember, this is the piece at the $500 level that Richard will personalize for you to you and your loved one, happy anniversary or whatever. $1,200, you can have all 7 pieces, including the videotape, which will make it even more memorable for you and for your family when you enjoy your pieces and when you look at the story. I've watched the show now 6 times, and I absolutely love it. Every time I watch it, I get something else, and I'm inspired by it. So are you inspired today? Yes, I know you are. Won't you call in your pledge of support and talk to one of our great volunteers? Thank you.
we have seen such a display of craftsmanship and skills represented in all of the pieces that are being shown to you today and that will come to you as a pledge for public television. That's how we say thank you in public television land, and it sure feels good when we do.
It does, when it works, doesn't it? It does. Like tonight.
So many people have called up, and to everyone who's called, we say a great big thank you. But if you haven't called yet, there's still time. We urge you to call that number on your screen and support this public television station right now. Get one of these wonderful handmade Blenko glass thank you gifts. It's our way of saying thank you for your support.
Richard, there are so many different pieces of glasses out there. How do you distinguish a piece of handmade glass from other kind of glass, production glass?
Well, again, I think it's very interesting, the fact that the weight of the piece, the size, the shape. You tend not to see machine-made pieces that are very tall. They tend to be very thin. Hand-blown glass, of course, is heavy. You often don't see mixtures of colors like you see here, this wonderful blue foot, clapboard foot attached to the opaline base. The fact there's a punty mark on the bottom, indicating the fact it's been on a blowpipe. You don't see that on a machine-made piece. Again, very distinctive. Again, look at the matching, the mixing the colors by our craftsmen, shaping the piece. You can't find this in machine-made glass. You don't find that in American glassware, but only here.
And the compote is another example of various skills and craftsmanship, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. You're seeing the piece here perhaps representing all the great skills that Blenko had. You're seeing casing, putting one color on top of another color. You see here the crystal over the blue with the emerald green clapboard foot. You're seeing the great detail by attaching a bit of glass around the glass for decoration. The size, the shape, using these hand-blown wooden molds and tools. Again, can't be duplicated by a machine. And again, you tend to see Blenko glass in major museum collections also.
This is available for a $500 pledge, but you know what we're going to do? We are just going to load you. Are you ready for this?
Yes, I'm ready to do this. Yes, absolutely.
For a $60 pledge, you can get the beautiful amethyst vase.
Yes.
And for a $100 pledge, we have the two hearts of glass, the
We'll
crystal heart candle holders.
Okay.
Okay, Richard, keep on going
For a
now.
$120 contribution, we have the Art Deco water bottle in emerald green.
Okay.
Can you handle the ruby red apple for a $200 contribution?
Okay.
Well, what about the cobalt blue signature vase for a $250 contribution?
Yes, okay.
Or the unique limited edition vase for a $300 contribution.
You'll have to hold that.
Okay, we're going to just sort of put that right over his shoulder. And the compost for a $500 contribution, but combined
And the film, too.
with a film for a $1,200 pledge gives you this mini museum collection of these wonderful pieces that we have been sharing with you tonight, and they will be your very own when you make that pledge at $1,200 level. Some folks can do it, and if you're one of them, we will say a great big thanks.
Well, you've inspired me. I love all the pieces. $1,200, you're absolutely right. If that's a level that you can afford, become a major donor of the station. Your dollars mean so much to the future and the quality of the programming that you want to make sure comes into your home. Remember, if that's not the level that's right for you, that's okay. How about the $90 level? You can watch the show over and over and over again. This is one of those shows where every time you watch it, you're going to enjoy it, you're going to share it, you're going to learn something new, pick something up from that. How about that? Okay, how about, while we're looking at all the different items one more time, let's talk about the shipping and the packaging. Blenko is going to personally package each piece, and then they're going to ship it to you right from the factory. So after you've made your payment, however you choose to do that, you're going to see your piece within about 3 weeks. Now that's pretty terrific. So there's no long delay, and you know that it's coming right from the Blenko Glass factory, so they're going to take care in making sure that that gets to you in one piece. And when you're dealing with glass, you want to make sure it gets there in perfect condition. And these pieces are just so lovely to look at. The ruby apple, the signature vase, we're trying to share as many stories as we can to augment what you've seen on the show to inspire you to go to the phone and support this public television station. So please do that now. The phone number is right there on your screen. We've got terrific phone volunteers just waiting to take your call. Don't wait another minute. It's time. Make that decision. Give us a call.
We are going to wear Richard's arm off because...
We promise.
What is this tool actually called?
Okay, this is a Dremel tool for signing. It vibrates. Historically, though, we used to use a diamond pen for signing.
And so as you're signing this piece, people can be calling in right now, and we'll reserve a piece.
That's correct.
And you're going to sign it.
That's correct.
And you're going to date it.
We'll put the Millennium Vase, yes.
And for a $120 contribution, the water bottle that Richard is signing right now in this gorgeous emerald green can be yours with our great big thanks from this public television station. And Deborah and I both had a unique chance, and that was to come and visit you in Milton.
You did. You came to
at the factory.
That's right.
Deborah, what was your impression?
Well, I grew up there. I grew up in Milton, West Virginia, and as a little child, they took my kindergarten class to the factory. And as a little 5-year-old, I went in and saw the drama and all these people running around with hot glass on blowpipes, and I was just enthralled with it. So I grew up with this, and I've loved it for a very long time. But I hope that you'll begin to love Blenko glass right now, and you'll show your love for public television when you call that number on your screen. Become a member of public television and get a wonderful Blenko glass thank you gift. Do it right now.
Sign that now.
Oh, sign this one,
Richard is
absolutely.
really in the mood to be signing here today. This is
collection
fabulous. It's so unique, this opportunity. It's not one that you're going to find every day. And as we've been hearing from Judy Campbell, who is an appraiser with the Antiques Roadshow, commenting uniquely about the fact that Blenko glass is very, very collectible. So not only are you getting an immediate treasure for yourself to enjoy, you're going to get something for future generations to enjoy.
That's right.
If you get the video at a $90 pledge, it will enhance the knowledge that future generations will have, or to remember the wonderful things and the craftsmanship that went into making your piece of Blenko glass. We're going to continue this conversation. Call us now.
Well, consider charging your pledge because, as you know, it just moves your dollars quicker through the station. It allows us to cut down on the paperwork, and it will make sure that your Blenko thank you gifts get to you that much quicker. We're looking about 3 weeks to get that to you right from the Blenko factory. And if you missed me talking about that earlier, I've got to tell you, I've had a couple of pieces come from the Blenko glass factory, and they are so well packaged. They're form-fitted. I think they just have a machine that just gets right in the box, and they fit right around the pieces, so they're not going anywhere. Forget about that popcorn stuff. I mean, these are packaged so well. Your pieces are going to come right from the Blenko glass factory. Okay, so there's another good reason. We're just try to inspire you to take this opportunity during this wonderful show here on public television to go to the phone, make a pledge of support. You decide what level's right for you. Remember, the Blenko glass thank you gifts start at the $60 level, and they go all the way up to the $1,200 level for all of the thank you gifts. One of my particular favorites tonight is this wonderful amethyst handy dish. It's nice and small, fits in your hand. It would look great on your coffee table. It's just a real sweet piece. Another terrific favorite is the ruby apple. Okay, we've got different levels, $60, $100, $120. Our volunteers have all the answers for you. We're going quickly. Call them, ask them. They'll tell you.
You've laughed, you've gasped, you've cried, you've cringed. You've experienced television at its best, thanks to our members. You can join public television right now by calling the number you see on your screen. It's simple. Use your Visa or MasterCard to make your pledge. Or ask for an invoice, then mail in your check. Our operators have all the information. Please, make that call now and become a member of public television.
We are so delighted for every pledge that comes in, whether it's at the $60 level to get this gorgeous amethyst candy dish, or at the $1,200 level, Richard, the whole package, everything that we're showing
Everything you see here today, and signed by me.
Oh, that is so special. And will you also personalize the compote?
Absolutely, absolutely. Again, using my etching tool here, signing tonight, personalizing all the pieces you see here, and what a great package you have to show.
Richard, when we talk about the uniqueness of these pieces of Blenko glass and the craftsmanship and the skill of glass blowing, I mean, you could make a lot more money, couldn't you, if you just turned your factory into a glass production house like the others that exist now?
That's correct, by buying some machinery, increasing production or size or speed. And in fact, Blenko is retaining all those skills that aren't found in the contemporary world. Again, I think we're anachronistic, I think, in history.
And you have this passion to keep that hand-blown glass craftsmanship alive in these workers who come to Milton, West Virginia, right?
That's right. All the people you're seeing, the employees, the skilled people, are all taught at the Blenko factory. Blenko family is dedicated in preserving the history and heritage of hand-blown glass in America, which has virtually disappeared. And remember, Blenko is the last surviving production factory in America.
And speaking of that, there is such a uniqueness, and we talked to Judy Campbell about the uniqueness of owning a piece of glass.
Well, I call this color marigold outstanding, and you can almost just see it up in your window as far as how it would look against the light. The combination with the cobalt is exceptional. The opaline adds a texture effect to it that I hope all the viewers can see how very gorgeous it is. Each piece is going to be hand done, and again, a very great and vibrant treasure in one's home. Around the 50s, they came out with asymmetrical forms, organic shapes, biomorphic shapes, so flowing and so beautiful that people just jumped right on the bandwagon saying, where can I buy more? But it has continued down the road. I mean, they've made quality glass all the way through. The lines, and this is very reflective of that period, show the fan shape, which came out, I would say, in that era, and the new colors, which reflect the colors that they used then. The combination is beautiful.
Well, I'm here with Deborah, and you got some secrets. Are we going to tell the Blenko secrets about this piece?
Oh,
no.
Oh,
no.
you mean the secrets? Well,
That's the color.
No, I'll tell you, Megan, every glass factory is like that. They don't give away their formulas for colors. And this color, this opaline amber color, is new for the year 2000. And what a beautiful color it is, too.
It's stunning. It is absolutely, it looks like a living piece of glass.
It's wonderful. I love this piece. You asked me before what my favorite was. I've got to go with this fan vase. I just love this piece.
And this is exclusive to public television. This is the one piece.
Absolutely.
In this color combination. You can only get this from public
only
television.
Through public television. So we urge you to call the number on your screen right now and support public television. When you can do, you can get wonderful Blenko glass thank you gifts, such as the opaline amber fan vase.
Well, wait. She's got a story. This is the best part. This is why you have to call and pledge. Tell me about this.
Well, okay. When somebody gives me flowers, I am all thumbs. This is true, folks. I really can't arrange the flowers. I love this piece for one specific reason. I put the flowers right in here. They practically arrange themselves.
Okay, and that's going to happen in my house too, right?
Oh.
I'm going to throw my flowers in, and it's just going to open.
You know how it is when somebody gives you a bouquet.
Yeah.
It looks so pretty when they're all wrapped up. When I put them in the vase, they just kind of stick there like this. But in the fan vase, one goes here, one goes here, one goes here. They look as pretty as they do when they're all wrapped up.
Beautiful.
And you know, this piece is actually inspired by the Art Nouveau movement at the turn of the century, which was based in flowing shapes of nature. One art critic who reviewed this piece said that this piece was reminiscent of an exotic blossom. Isn't that wonderful?
And truly, that's a great description. That's exactly what it looks like.
So we urge people to call right now. Call that number on your screen and support public television.
Richard, if that can be a $1,200 pledge.
Yes.
We have this mini museum collection.
That's correct.
That has been assembled to represent different aspects of Blenko glass. Let's talk a little bit about the colors that are represented in this collection.
Okay, we talked about the fact you've seen the film Hearts of Glass tonight. The Blenko colors come from the great extensive stained glass color collection that we made for our stained glass windows historically by manufacturers. Those are translated into the glass you're seeing blown ware in the 1930s and continue today. So again, we have this great color palette to work from.
And we have these beautiful colors that are so vibrant.
Yes.
The cobalt blue, is that an original color that was in stained glass?
That's correct. Again, you're seeing these as stained glass windows. We were doing back at the turn of the century. And in fact, all the formulations Blenko has are Blenkos in themselves in their entirety. You guard those secrets, of course, the formulas with your life practically.
And there are different textures of glass
Yes.
that are also represented in this collection. Give us
right.
some examples, Richard.
Okay, we've seen the collection of the pieces here. Sometimes you're seeing a rough finish in the piece where we've centrifugally spun this out after hand gathering it, so it's smooth on the inside where the hot part was, rough on the outside. You could be having perhaps the ruby red apple. In fact, we made some of these for Tiffany's in New York. We've applied the stem. It's quite smooth. The punting mark in the bottom, of course. You're seeing the pieces here, the opaline, smooth on the outside, the Art Nouveau shape. It's really quite spectacular. So different shapes, textures, and colors.
And so we have the artistry all before us. That pledge is yours to decide.
Are just talking and talking and talking about all these pieces because one of the most, there's something very special when you call in your pledge of support right now and you ask for one of these Blenko glass thank you gifts. Tell me about that, Deborah.
And that is that we have to remind folks that Richard Blenko is here, and he will personally sign each and every piece. He'll also date it and put the year 2000 on it. He'll put Richard Blenko 2000, and that's something that you can't get anywhere else. Only through public television, only when you support your public television station can you get a signed and dated piece of handmade Blenko glass.
See, there's no other reason to wait, because we were just talking about this too while we're just enjoying all the glass. To have something that says 2000 that you're going to have for years and years and years to come, it will always have his signature. It will always have 2000 on the bottom of the piece.
I was just telling Megan, it's like having tomorrow's heirlooms today, having it right in your own home. And this will last. This will receive a place of honor in your home, such as the ruby glass apple. So many people have called up for this tonight. And you know what? I think it's teachers. I think people who want to give gifts to teachers are calling. So we urge you to call that number on your screen, support this public television station, and get one of these wonderful Blenko glass thank you gifts. Do it right now.
Very beautiful.
Becoming a member is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1, get your credit card and bring it to the phone. 2, call the number you see on the bottom of your screen. 3, talk to one of our friendly operators. Your pledge supports a whole year of your favorite public television shows. That's it. A 2-minute call makes you a member and shows your support for public television. You can pay by check if you prefer, but by all means, make that call now.
Of all the pieces, and they are all popular, Deborah and Richard are holding perhaps the most popular in the signature vase.
That's correct here, yes.
And that's for a pledge of $250. And you love that apple, don't you, Richard?
Our favorite is.
The apple
What a great
is
color.
so wonderful. I'm just saying it's a perfect gift for a teacher.
It is, isn't
It's a wonderful way to say we appreciate the teachers of America. And along with that, the Art Deco water bottle has been very, very popular tonight. This is available at the $120 contribution level.
And that was originally put into production, Richard, in what year, the water bottle?
1938, can you believe that? Nearly 70 years in production.
It's in continuous production,
That's
too.
correct.
They've been making it ever since, every year since 1938. So it's a very historic piece.
And our most popular piece also.
Really.
And that's perhaps why you chose it as one of the featured pieces that was displayed in the film. We actually saw the making, and especially the neck and how it was being formed with those horror spouts.
Yes, it's a very, very wonderful process. They actually form each side. You can see it's a double spouted here, and those are formed by the finisher. In the film, we saw Mr. Charles Chapman, who was the finisher, who actually made each spout here. And it's just a wonderful example of Blenko Emerald Green, which shimmers in the light. Can you see it? As we said before, they brought the colors of the cathedral into America's homes.
There are designs that will be brought into America's homes. And when we chatted more with Judy Campbell, she talked specifically about the impact of bringing designers into Blenko glass and what significance that had. And so now let's listen to more comments from Judy Campbell.
And I think it was Blenko Glass that was the first to bring in-house designers. And Winslow Anderson, Joel Philip Myers, who they were in-house designers there, lent some wonderful artistic ideas to the sculptures that came out of there. Phenomenal ideas, things that are still around today. People who got them in the 50s are still looking for them in this period of time, too. It is a process of the hand blowing and the hand molding, and that's what makes, I hope the viewers can get the quality and depth of the coloration in this emerald green. It's just unsurpassable. The bubbles make it a greater depth, I guess you would call it. It gives it distinction. It's not something you just buy off of the rack by any means. It's one of a kind. Each one is one of a kind.
And something that will make your piece, whatever level that is that you choose to donate, and take that thank you gift, what will make yours particularly unique is Richard Blenko signing and putting the year 2000 on every single piece that you get from this public television station. What are you waiting for? And remember, at the $500 level, if you can be a major donor at that level, that is so appreciated to keep your station rolling and keep all the wonderful programs there. At the $500 level, that compote centerpiece, Richard will actually personalize it. So if you've got a very special, anniversary coming up, maybe a 50th anniversary, and you're looking for something that will really, really create a memory and let those loved ones know what you're thinking, perfect, to mom and dad on your 50th anniversary. How terrific. So that's at the $500 level for the compote centerpiece. We're just reviewing all the different levels and the different items because you've been watching, you're thinking. The hard part is deciding which piece. Well, you have to decide. That is the tough part. If $1,200 is the level that works for you, you'll get all 7 pieces, including the videotape of the show that will add more memories and more collectability, I think, to these pieces. As we've been hearing, when you know the stories behind the pieces, they make them more special to you. And as we've all learned from being fans of the Antiques Roadshow, we've learned about how important the story is of where the piece came from and how you acquired it and how you pass it through your family. That adds so much collectability and value. So, there you go. Lots of inspiration, lots of reasons why you should call in your support now. The phone number is right there on your screen. The volunteers are here in the studio waiting to take your call. So give us a jingle. And remember, if you can afford to charge that donation, you are going to have your pieces rushed to you that much quicker. All right, time to go now. Go to the phone.
And again, remember, these are not production pieces. These are handmade pieces, and they are being hand-signed.
That's correct, tonight.
By the 4th generation of the Blenko family, and I might add, the remaining generation, because Richard has no sons. We talked about the future of Blenko glass, and we have no idea of what the future will be, because Richard, as I said, is the last of the 4 Blenko generations. And so, in the documentary, you've heard the story, and for a $90 pledge, consider also getting a copy of the video so that you could pair the video with the apple and give it as a gift for a family member who will treasure it for years to come. Deborah, in making the documentary, how long did it take you to put this story together?
It actually took us about 2 years total. Oh, it takes a very long time to research a subject when you make a documentary, and we do very, very careful research. Everything at public television is done with a lot of care, commitment, and concern. And it actually took us all in all about 2 years. And then, of course, we had this very, very difficult shoot that we had to do in the factory with all the heat and the noise and the light and the drama going on all around my crew. I thought my crew did a wonderful job, and my hat is off to them. And then, of course, after that, you have the editing. And I did all the editing myself, so that took a lot of time.
Hands-on, right?
There was one other piece that you did, and there's beautiful music that underlays this documentary, Deborah.
Thank you. I did work with a composer, but I did manage to compose 2 pieces myself. I did the credit music and what I call the Blenko waltz. And one Sunday afternoon, I was sitting there looking at Blenko glass, and it just came to me that da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and put it down on paper, and there it is in the documentary. So thank you for mentioning that, Diane. That is near and dear to my heart.
The talents of Deborah in capturing the art form, and in Richard in preserving and continuing the art form that his great-grandfather began with the Eureka Glass Company at first. And that was not even in West Virginia. It was in Ohio.
That's correct. We tell people we're an overnight success of 104 years and 4 generations.
And the future of public television, just like the future of Blenko glass, rests in your hands right now. And the uniqueness of owning a piece of Blenko glass. Let's hear a little bit more from Judy Campbell, who will comment about what it might mean to have some documentation, if you would, about one of these pieces. Let's listen to Judy.
The more information you have on the background of an item, the greater value it has to you personally and possibly monetarily down the road. And if, for instance, well, we can relate this to the video that corresponds with this, which is wonderful. And I've seen the video a couple of times, and I love it, the history. I kept thinking, I have some Blenko pieces. How great that when I pass them down to my children, that they'll have a background on Blenko glass if they're not familiar with it already from me. My viewpoint is it can't do anything but go up in value. Anything that is beautiful and timeless like Blenko will last forever, and there will always be an appreciation for it.
So calling and pledging to this public television station keeps the programs here that you enjoy watching. You can ask for a piece of the Blenko glass as your thank you gift. The videotape If $90 is the level that you're comfortable with, ask for the videotape. You can even build your own combo. That's something folks have been calling in and saying, oh, I don't know which piece to pick. Oh, I love them all. What should I do? What should I do? Well, take your dollar amount, whatever you're comfortable donating, and then which pieces you're interested in, and build your own combo. Maybe at the $90 for the videotape and the $300 for the yellow fan vase, that's yellow opaline exclusive to public television, or one of these fine pieces, or a combination. You decide. And I know we go fast. It's a lot of information that we're sharing with you because we want to catch you while you're inspired, while you have the message and you're hearing so many details about Blenko glass. But I know we're going fast. Call our volunteers. They have all the information in front of them. They can answer questions for you, talk to you about the levels, and it's going to go very quickly. When you call in your pledge of support, the process is fast. We're going to ask for your name, your address, your phone number, your payment, and what your thank you gift is. So there you go. Lots of inspiration, lots of reasons to call and give. Now do your part for this station. And there's the number. It's right on your screen. And there's that one piece that is exclusive to public television, that color. You can only get that color by supporting this station today. And remember, too, we've got that wonderful centerpiece full of the compote. It's 14 inches in diameter, cased in crystal blue and green, and that can be personalized. $1,200 for the entire collection, including the videotape. And there's one reason. If you can't decide what to go for, how about $1,200? If that's a level that you're comfortable with, you'll have one of all 7 pieces. You can decide if you want to keep them all for your collection or give them as special gifts as the year goes on. You know, we always have those things come up. Oh, what am I going to give? Something special. Here you go.
The most special thing are you, the viewers of public television, because you provide our livelihood, our bread and butter, everything it takes to make documentaries like this.
Oh, we need folks out there to call, because never, never forget that you are the public in public television, and we need each and every one of you to pick up the phone, call the number on your screen, and get a wonderful Blenko glass thank you gift.
Yes.
And we would like to say thank you to Richard.
Thank you.
Shake your hand
Yes.
if I can.
Thank you for being here.
Because what you have done is really preserve a wonderful national art form in the way of handcraft glass. And Deborah, you've preserved the story of Blenko glass with this documentary. And public television is also a national treasure, surely worth preserving. Don't you agree?
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely.
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 And when
What a great partnership.
It is. It's a two-way street of public television, more so than any other broadcast or cable medium, isn't it?
I agree.
I totally agree. So we hope folks will understand that we need your support to create other documentaries like Hearts of Glass. And we make every dollar stretch in public television, don't we, Diane? Now, we only have a few minutes left now, so please take this opportunity to support this public television station and call that number on your screen. We have wonderful Blenko glass thank you gifts, such as the Art Deco water bottle, very popular tonight. Many, many folks have called in for this piece at the $120 contribution level, and also the signature vase, which you have over there, Diane.
It's absolutely wonderful with this beautiful amber wrap, showing again the artistry, yet the simplicity of design that Blenko glass is known for, and it's expressed beautifully in this cobalt blue color. So friends, your treasures will continue on public television and coming right into your living room when you place your piece of Blenko glass in a very prominent place.
Yes.
Close to the television set so you can watch it out of the corner of your eye.
That's a very good idea.
But more importantly, you're watching the big picture on your public television station, the picture that brings you a whole world. We have no boundaries on what we offer on public television. We share the world. And if you share your resources in return, these treasures will come to you along with those great quality programs. Thank you. Thank you.
WNJS, Camden.
Some people think that technology is making the world smaller, but high-speed internet access makes the world bigger for these New Jersey students. Through the Access New Jersey program, Verizon has invested more than $80 million to provide New Jersey schools and public libraries with internet access and interactive video. At Verizon, we believe that instant access to a world of knowledge gives students throughout New Jersey access to a bigger and brighter future.
Verizon, proudly supporting NJN